Good evening, Budget Team. I'm Andy Van Fleet, Principal of Fowler Middle School. On behalf of the Reimagining Middle School Committee, I would like to say thank you for taking the time to listen to and consider the recommendations that came out of basically 5 months worth of work, including 3.5 days of face-to-face time, where we were thinking outside of the box and drilling down into the current needs of our students and community. We intended to have teachers assist in this video, but exigent circumstances around COVID-19 prevented us from all meeting together. We are doing a pretty good job right now of practicing social distancing. These last few weeks have hammered home the point that we need to rethink everything about education. This is a reimagining process, so why simply imagine presenting from an office? It's amazing what we can see when we choose to think differently. Much better. The Reimagining Middle School team mainly consists of classroom teachers, but it is also inclusive of counselors, classified staff, parents, community members, administrators, and school board representatives. This committee of almost 40 members spent the bulk of time in the researching and visioning process. We intentionally started the process with no specific end goal in mind, other than erasing what we thought we knew about 6th through 8th grade learning. And we took a deep look at who our kids are now, what they want, what they need, how they are different than the way we were or the way we learned in middle school. And then we worked to create a vision of hopes and dreams around how we can get to this new realization. It sounds a little daunting to bring a huge group together without a defined end goal, and yes, it was stressful at times, but it allowed us to avoid jumping to solutionitis, and it forced us to ask deeper questions about how we are supporting or not supporting our students. How are we meeting their needs or not meeting their needs? And are we truly preparing our students for the academic and emotional rigors of high school and beyond? Many of the specific details can be found in the AROI packet that you should have all received by this point. One of the SITES initiatives that has been a guide for us and that we've leaned on is a place called MyWays Framework. This can be found at myways.nextgenerationlearning.org. This framework and the resources are pretty robust, but in a nutshell, the learning allowed our team to think about habits of success, content knowledge, creative know-how, and wayfinding abilities. We use the framework to anchor some of our conversations and guide us around common language as we begin to engage other stakeholders around the district. Through our continued conversations, we engage students, parents, and faculty. We also brought in some skilled facilitators to help us tease out themes and areas of foci that resulted in a North Star vision, which the committee unanimously appreciated. We teased out needs and hopes in these areas, kind of the buckets around student experience, student perspective, instructional design, systems, teacher experience, and school climate. Multiple themes jumped out as well, and a lot of this overlapped as we reviewed our work at the end of day 3. Some of the themes, clearly not all, included that lessons and units of study that are relevant and applicable to student interest are highly desired. Project-based learning can be leveraged for greater interest and success. Students are empowered by choice. Students are exhibiting more stress today than ever before, so regulation and support are more essential than ever before. We acknowledge that teachers should be facilitators and that students should do the talking, the writing, and the leading. We need time for collaboration to make this happen. Fewer transitions are essential to help with student regulation. We need longer class periods to teach social emotional skills and create family communities in our classrooms. It is almost impossible to do all this in 45-minute classes, and we can't do this well when we see 180 students in a single day. So if we can change the way we structure our day to reduce our transitions, lengthen our classes, add mental health supports, and create more collaboration for both students and teachers, we can begin to fully realize the learning potential in our students. I do want to hammer one point home, and that is in shifts of this kind of magnitude, what we must do is include a considerable amount of ongoing professional development. Understanding and implementing trauma-informed practices takes professional development and time, and it takes guidance to transform classrooms. Shifting teacher mindsets, adult mindsets, educator mindsets, administrative mindsets takes intentional learning. If we are to go away from the teacher as holders of all knowledge and transition to the teacher as a facilitator and a guide, it must be thoughtful. Also, to add time to class periods so we can do the social emotional work and create family feeling in our classrooms takes incredible intentionality. For more on this work, other learning, let's take a look at what our correspondent from Tuolumne Middle School has to share.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Tim Gross. I'm the principal at Hazelbrook Middle School, and I'm really thankful that I get the opportunity today to talk to you about next steps in our reimagining middle school process. As Principal Van Fleet just described to you, there is a real need to reimagine the way we do middle schools, and I'm here today to talk about what we see in terms of this committee, what the first steps are for really getting things going to do business differently excuse me, in our middle schools. And so where we feel like we need to start in looking at our huge process is not with class selections, not with working to change the way we do academics and content areas quite yet, but instead to really focus on building the environment that students need in order to be learners. And that is to really start and focus with social emotional learning. And here on your screen, you see Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which outlines the fact that all of us in our lives have to build what we need from the bottom up. And if we don't have things on the bottom of our pyramid met, we can't actually get to the higher levels of our pyramids in terms of who we want to be and what we want to do. And in middle schools, especially where students are going through so many changes, they're going through physical changes, but also social and emotional changes, that students really need to feel safe and have a sense of love and belonging before we can even get to academic learning. And right now, many of our staff members in our schools have been trained as content specialists. We haven't been trained in how to teach social emotional skills and social emotional learning. And so for us, the number one place to start in reimagining middle schools is to develop a framework that helps teach social emotional learning. And whether that means changing the way we meet in classrooms, whether that means adopting a curriculum, whether that means building restorative practices into our regular daily events and activities, we need to really identify what that best practice and framework looks like in social emotional learning to move forward before we jump into clear and concrete actions for our students. We also have a lot of need to build with our staffs that real sense of love and belonging so that we can all develop this together. And so the first piece that we're going to be asking for support with as part of this reimagining process is to provide us some time, space, and energy to really develop the framework that we need to then roll out to our schools so that students get those safety and love and belonging needs met where they can actually get to a place to learn. And so as we move forward, I want to thank you for considering our request and our proposal so that we can really take middle schools, which are a hard time to love and fit and belong in for anyone, but to really help allocate some resources for us to be really intentional about building what we want our schools to be in terms of creating a safe, welcoming, and belonging space for each and every single one of our students. So thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Andrew Curl. I'm the principal at Tuolumne Middle School. And one of the things that we learned as we went through this process is that our current schedule moves way too fast. There's not enough time to build the kind of relationships that we know are important, especially if we believe that social emotional learning is the bedrock of the middle school experience. One of the things we know is really important to creating a better middle school experience is having more time in classes. If students had more time and teachers had more time, they'd be able to embed social emotional learning instruction into the core. by using an SEL framework. They'd be able to collaborate and integrate lessons between content areas to provide real-world experiences that we know are important for 21st century learning. There'd be less disruptions in the day. Kids would have fewer transitions. It would feel less frantic. By doing this, teachers and students could build stronger relationships. Teachers could build stronger relationships with colleagues, and it would help with teacher wellness as well. And it would also allow for physiological needs and other trauma-informed practices that we know are vital and necessary. If we really are going to interrupt business as usual, we need a schedule that works for kids and for teachers. Throughout this process, we would like to look at a 5-period day, a 6-period day, and other schedules that will be an additional FTE ask, but we know is the right thing for kids. At this point, you're probably wondering, if we did all this, what would success look like? Some of the measures that we would like to see are student and teacher perception data about school. We'd like to look at proportionate discipline referrals and attendance. We'd also look at academic achievement through grades. Our goal is transformative change, and it's going to require professional development. It's going to require a change in attitude about what middle school looks like, and it's going to require fewer transitions, longer classes, and mindset shifts in both students and adults. We truly believe we can make middle school a better experience for all. So let's go reimagine.